Mozambican officials are scrambling for answers after more than 70 people were apparently poisoned. Reports suggest they drank a traditional beer which was mixed with crocodile bile. Charles Mangwira is an editor at Radio Mozambique and joins us now. Good evening to you, Charles Mangwira. Thank you very much for your time. What new are we learning about how this pombe, this traditional Mozambican beer, became contaminated?
Right. Good evening, the viewers. Good evening, everybody. So far, we don't have any information yet that says the poisoning came from the crocodile bile. But what we know is 71 people are dead so far, and 43 others are still hospitalized in the health ports of Songo and Shitima in Tete province. 4 of them, including 2 children, are in serious conditions.
Blood and traditional beer samples, we understand, Charles, were sent to Maputo Central Hospital. Have authorities there been able to release any preliminary findings? As you say, it hasn't been proven that crocodile bile was in fact one of the agents that might have poisoned the substance.
Of course, I've just spoken to one of the health officials. She said tests are being done at the Maputo Central Hospital, but so far they don't have any clue for the type of the part which was introduced into the drink. Maybe probably they are saying by tomorrow or maybe by the day after tomorrow they'll be able to know.
It certainly is. It is a tragedy. We understand people were gathered there for a funeral. They consumed the beer, and as you say, a lot of them ended up dying. Can you tell us more about the backstory to this, Charles?
Yes, what we know that some people had drank the drink in the morning during the funeral in the morning. Those who died drank the beer in the afternoon. So some people think that the bile was introduced into the drum in the afternoon. So nobody really knows what time really happened. But those who drank the beer in the morning are still fine. They're still okay. Those who drank the drink after the funeral in the afternoon, they were the ones who had died, and some of them are still sick.
Tell us about this pombe, this traditional beer, Charles. Is it widely brewed? Are there health and recipe regulations around how it's made? Are certain people only allowed to make it, or is it generally a cultural brew that's put together at an event like a funeral?
It is a homemade drinking brew. It's homemade, and there are no specifications for it. If I was in South Africa, I would call it umkomboti. That's how they do it in Mozambique. It's made out of maize or maybe corn. So people, they just brew it or homemade and drink it from there.
Are there concerns tonight, Charles Mangwira, that more people could die?
Of course, yes. Since they don't have the exact number of people who really drank that beer, what we know that they are saying there were about more than 200 people at the funeral. Some of them, they just drank it and went home, and they have not been tracked down yet. But we know now some of them are still trickling into health centers to seeking assistance. So the number of the death toll may grow up at any time. We don't have any specific number of how many people drank that beer, but it is confirmed that there were more than 200 people at the funeral in the morning. They all went home for that drink.
It sounds like a compound tragedy, Charles. Generally at a funeral, family members would gather, people that are related. Did a lot of families, endure losses through this tragedy?
In Mozambique, wherever there is a funeral, anyone just goes there. It's not restricted to the family members only. Even the whole neighborhood can just go and attend the funeral. Some people travel a distance from where the funeral was taking place. They are not only from the one district, surrounding areas also, they were at the funeral. And from the funeral, it is a tradition in Mozambique that whenever you leave the cemetery, you go home for a drink and wash your hands. It is part of culture.
Yeah, but
so many people were at the funeral.
But so you can't say that many families lost their loved ones, for example, from the same family.
Yes, for instance, one family they lost about 5 people. Yet another family, the parents all died, and they left 6 children, all of them very young, below 4 years of age.
Yeah, it's those stories that really tug at the heartstrings. All right, the scores taken to hospital, as you mentioned earlier. What is their condition, Charles?
The condition state is very far away from Maputo. It's something like 2,500 kilometers away, and Songo and Shitima districts are remote rural setups, which means electricity there is not enough. So it means most of the funerals have been done for those who died because they could not keep the bodies because there's no electricity, and it is very hot. It is the hottest district in Mozambique, so they cannot keep the bodies for long. Some of them were buried yesterday in the afternoon, so some of them are still being buried as we speak now. Taita is a very hot district, and while the hospital is too small and they cannot cope with the number of influx. It is the first major emergency situation in that region so far.
Thank you very much for the update. Radio Mozambique editor Charles Mangwira joining us on the line there from Maputo.